Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest, the weekly national report on thoroughbred racing, is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp taste. Nothing beats a Bud. By Thrifty Car Rental. Thrifty, because it's your money.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. Thoroughbred Racing's winningest rider of all time, Bill Shoemaker, has had his condition upgraded from critical to serious on Wednesday morning of this week following a car accident this past Monday evening. The recreational vehicle that Shoe was driving overturned and rolled down a 50-foot embankment near San Dimas, California. The 59-year-old Shoemaker suffered severe injuries, and according to a quote from a hospital spokesman, the most critical of which is paralysis of his extremities associated with a fracture and dislocation of his neck, end quote. Shoemaker, who won a record 8,833 races over 4 decades, retired from riding 13 months ago to become a trainer. His stable has had 6 winners at Santa Anita since just this past December. There are still no definitive words as of our Wednesday afternoon taping of the Digest if the paralysis were temporary or maybe permanent. One thing we know about a champion like Bill Shoemaker: he has overcome adversity before. We're all praying he can do it again. Shoemaker now at the Centinela Hospital in Inglewood, California. Well, our feature race this week is a race that the Shoe won 8 times. The Santa Anita Derby, California's premier Triple Crown prep race. Here are the conditions for racing. The Santa Anita Derby, a Grade 1 event, $500,000 purse. It's a 1.8 miles for the Derby 3-year-olds. And let's take a look now at the field. Starting with Main Minister, compelling sound at 10-1, Conveyor, a huge price. Continuing on with our field, bounding back, Best Pal, the 8-5 favorite with Gary Stevens. Dinar with Chris McCarron, the second choice at 2-1. Then rounding out the field, it's Scan from Scotty Schulhofer's barn, Jerry Bailey at 7-1. Seek It at the third choice with Eddie De La Houssaye at 7-2. Then it's the Hammers Media Plan from Dewey and Lucas' stable, Jose Santos at 20-1. 9 in the Santa Anita Derby, and now with special permission from ABC Sports, here's the call with Dave Johnson.
Compelling sound and media plan, both wear blinkers, and they're off. And Main Minister on the inside to the front. Best Pal from between horses charging up. Sea Cadet on the outside, Dinar right there, and Media Plan in the middle of the racetrack. Now past the stands for the first time. Main Minister at the rail, battles with Sea Cadet on the outside, those 2 heads apart. Bounding back just behind the leaders in third. Best Pal in tight quarters 4th. Media Plan on the outside is 5th. Dinar is 6th at this point. Scanned between horses 7th. Compelling Sound shuffled back on the inside, and the trailer is Conveyor. The pace is realistic as they move on to the backstretch, and Main Minister leads at 3 parts of a length, and on the outside, Sea Cadet challenges. Those 2 now heads apart. A gap of 2 lengths, and on the outside, it's Media Plan, the roan, in third by a head, but now bounding back the long shot into the 3rd spot. Media Plan on the outside is 4th. Then Best Pal is 5th. Dinar 6th, followed by Scan. Then Compelling Sound and Conveyor at the back of the pack, about 15 lengths off the lead. The half in 46-2. It doesn't look like a track record or a stakes record today. Going to the far turn. Now Sea Cadet on the outside takes command by a head. Main Minister battles back along the inside. Media Plan is right there, as is Best Pal, who's 3 wide and joining the leaders. Dinar behind a wall of horses, 5th at this point, looking for some racing room. A 1/4 mile to go. Best Pal on the far outside. Sea Cadet between horses. Main Minister hanging tough at the rail. 3 of them across the track, and here comes Dinar on the far outside. And down the stretch they come. Best Pal to the front by 3 parts of a length. Dinar charging up on the outside. Sea Cadet drops back. Now a 2-horse race for the wire. Dinar on the outside with Chris McCarron up to take command and win the Santa Anita Derby by half a length.
Alan Paulson receiving congratulations there as his Dinar wins the Santa Anita Derby, the time 1:48. Dinar by Alan Paulson, Strawberry Road Stallion out of Daring Bitter by Bowl Bitter, trained by Dick Lundy, ridden by Chris McCarron in the Santa Anita Derby. Well, now let's check in with winning rider, jockey Chris McCarron on Dinar. McCarron celebrating, by the way, his first Santa Anita Derby win. He talked about his rough trip around the first turn.
Chris, congratulations. Tell us about the trip you had.
Well, it was pretty eventful, Mike. I had a very rough trip going to the first turn. I got in very, very tight between Best Pal and Media Plan, and for about 1/8 of a mile, I was going to try and stay in there, and then it just kept getting tighter and tighter, and eventually I was forced to come out of there, and I had to check very hard, and he went out across Media Plan's heels, and luckily he didn't clip heels, otherwise he might have fallen.
I know you had to really be concerned about those horses up near the lead, Sea Cadet and Best Pal. maybe with 3/8 of a mile out, just wondering how much they were going to have left and if you could overtake them.
Well, the track is playing very fair today. Speed has been winning, and horses have come from last today. So I wasn't too concerned about them coming back because I knew I was on the best horse. But to be perfectly frank, he had to overcome a great deal. He got shut off, and then I lost a lot of ground around the first turn. I elected to take back off Best Pal once I straightened out the backside and put him down into the dirt, and I made him eat the dirt all the way down the backside. He climbed a little bit at first, but when I made him go against the dirt, he responded just like a champ, and I tried to save some ground around the last turn, but I moved him out when I thought I had to, and he was there. Every time I asked him to do something, he did it.
Chris McCarron visiting in the winner's circle after the San Diego Derby with our Mike Willman. Well, the New Racing Times makes its publishing debut this Saturday. Their editor-in-chief, Stephen Christ, had an analysis for us of the West Coast 3-year-olds heading to the Kentucky Derby.
If there was any doubt about California's leading hope for this year's Kentucky Derby, the Santa Anita Derby removed it once and for all. Denard is the best in the West. The gelding by Strawberry Road is simply a better horse than Best Pal, whom he has now beaten twice in a row. Best Pal was by far the best of last year's California 2-year-olds, and this year he's better than any of California's 3-year-olds, except for Denard. The two most appealing things about Denard's performance in the Santa Anita Derby were his grit and his finish, both of which will stand him well on Derby Day. He overcame some trouble on the first turn of the Santa Anita Derby, a frequent occurrence at Churchill Downs with a big field, and more importantly, he finished as if a mile and a quarter will be well within his scope. Barring an upset in Saturday's Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland, this Derby is shaping up more and more as a classic regional showdown. Fly So Free from the east versus Denard from the west. May the best horse win.
Thank you, Stephen. By the way, we confirmed with John Mabey this morning, owner of Best Pal, Golden Eagle Farm. He is going to the Kentucky Derby. The first time Mr. Mabey, in his 34 years as a thoroughbred owner, will have his Golden Eagle colors parade at Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby. And as we go to the break, let's again get an update on this week's TRC Triple Crown poll. The top 4 remain the same, while Santa Anita Derby runner-up John Mabey's Best Pal moves from 7th to 5th. And in the second 5, Gotham winner Kyle's Our Man, unranked before the win, is now number 8. You've seen the best of the West 3-year-olds already on the digest. Now we turn our attention to the East. First to New York. The race televised live here on ESPN this past Saturday. The $250,000 Gotham Stakes from Aqueduct, around a 1-turn mile. On the lead, the Racing Times and Bud Longshot pick Kyle's Our Man in the colors of Darby Dan Farm. Tom Durkin has the call.
They're moving toward the quarter pole, and it is Kyle's Our Man now, who's beginning to edge away. Leads by 2 as they come toward the top of the stretch. Dodge is trying to stay with them, but he's dropping back 3 lengths off the lead now. And another review is coming with his one. Stately Wager has dropped out of it. Vouch for Me on the far outside. Kyle's Our Man coming down to the 8th pole. He's pulling away with authority here. He leads by 5. Another review now moves into second. On the outside, it's Vouch for Me. King Mutessa's putting in a late run, but they're not going to get to Kyle's Our Man, who strolls into Gotham, wire to wire, under Angel Cordero Jr. He wins it by 4.
Kyle's Our Man's first win since he left New York for Florida last December. But now he's back and on his way to the Wood Memorial, New York's biggest Derby prep. It'll run a week from Saturday. There he'll most likely run up against the undefeated champion Philly Meadow Star and the winner of Maryland's Tessio Stakes, Tong Po. Kyle's Our Man by In Reality out of Lady Donna was bred by the owner of Darby Dan Farm, Dan Galbraith. Trained by John Veach and ridden there by Angel Cordero Jr., who just may switch horses for the Wood Memorial. Cordero says he's committed to riding Tong Po. Well, there's still some Kentucky Derby prospects down in Florida. They also ran Saturday in the $200,000 preview stakes at 1 mile and a 16th. The colt that was of special interest here is a full brother to last year's Kentucky Derby winner, Unbridled. His name, Cahill Road, currently trailing the pack in the Genter colors. Here's Ross Morton with a call of the preview.
Shotgun Harry J puts ahead in front. Chihuahuas alongside second. Shoot to Kill third. Happy Jazz Bandit sent to a drive by Chris Antley on the outside. And Cahill Road still trails at this point. As they come toward the top of the stretch, a good 3/4, 110 and 2. They turn for home. Shotgun Harry J with the lead. Chihuahuas alongside. On the outside, here comes Happy Jazz Bandit to make a bit, and Cahill Road begins to drive in on the rail with a lot of ground to make up through the stretch. On the outside, here comes Shoot to Kill. Cahill Road now trying to get through. They come to the wire. It's Shoot to Kill and an upset this afternoon between horses Shotgun Harry J. Cahill Road down in on the rails.
Shoot to Kill, a 17-to-1 long shot out draws 35-1 Shotgun Harry J by just a neck to win the preview. In turn, Cahill Road's Derby plans appear now to be full of holes, as Scotty Schuloff has indicated his only Derby starter, likely to be Florida Derby winner Fly So Free. The winner, Shoot to Kill, is the son of the immigrant who sold at the 1988 Keeneland November sale for a mere $16,000. Today he brought home a winner's check of $120,000 for owner Clyde Rice, his daughter Linda Rice, who trained Shoot to Kill. A 3-year-old filly race to show you now from opening weekend at Keeneland. It's the Grade 3 Beaumont, where Californian If You Could See Me Now coasted home 4 lengths ahead of Cynthia Phipps's favorite Versailles Treaty. It was the first start outside California for the Brian Mayberry trainee, who's by tuner-up out of the Valid Appeal mare Real Jenny. If You Could See Me Now has now been in the money in all 9 of her career starts, 5 of those being wins for jockey Martin Pedrosa. Back to Florida now for the $300,000 Pan American Handicap. It's a turf event for older horses going 1.5 miles. Missing from the field, Canadian Triple Crown winner is Vestia, who suffered a stall injury a couple of weeks ago at Gulfstream. That leaves the role of favorite to Dr. Root.
They move midway on the turn. Julie Crone has gained the lead with Phantom Breeze by a head. Yonder presses alongside. El Ducey down into the hedge. And Dr. Root is flying wide on the outside up into contention, turning for home. It's Phantom Breeze digging in. El Ducey alongside second. Runaway Raja charging hard, and here comes Dr. Root. But they'll have to catch Julie Crone. Phantom Breeze has the lead by 1.5 lengths. Julie Crone going away to her 3rd win of the afternoon, with Phantom Breeze winning the Pan American. Dr. Root is 2nd, and Runaway Raja 3rd.
Dr. Root tries, but Bert Firestone's Phantom Breeze with jockey Julie Crone is just too good in the Pan American. With this win, the Billy Mott trainee went over the $500,000 mark in career earnings. Phantom Breeze is by vision out of the Run the Gauntlet mare, Ask the Wind. Well, the top mare in the country right now, Little Brienne, who beat champion Bayaco in her last 2 starts, went to Oaklawn on Saturday with a 1.16 miles, $150,000 Oaklawn Budweiser Breeders' Cup. The 2-5 favorites in the green and yellow, chasing the leader, a wild ride. Here's Terry Wallace with the call.
It's a wild ride with the lead. Thompson now 2nd. Little Brienne moving to 3rd, and Timber Ribbon is driving up on the outside in 4th. 3/4 in 1:11. And here they come into the stretch of the Oaklawn Budweiser Breeders' Cup. And it is a wild ride with the lead right behind her, Little Brienne. To the outside, Timber Ribbon, and between those horses is Topsa. A wild ride leads it. Timber Ribbon on the outside, Little Brienne along the rail, not making up any ground. This one now is between a wild ride and Timber Ribbon, and it is Pet Day, and a wild ride drawing clear. They near the wire. A wild ride will win the Oaklawn Budweiser Breeders' Cup.
Little Brienne falls to fellow Californian A Wild Ride, who'll go on now to face Bayaco in Oaklawn's $500,000 Apple Blossom Handicap April 19th. The daughter of Wild Again, who was formerly owned by Calumet Farm, still being trained by Dwayne Lucas, but for new owner Xenia Yoshida of Japan, who bought her at Keeneland in January of '91 for $525,000. Pat Day had the winning ride. Fillies and Mares also competed at Aqueduct on Sunday. The Grade 2 Better Roses Handicap, run at 1 mile. The one they couldn't catch here is Devil's Orchid, who went off at odds at 2-5, eventually posted a 4-length win under jockey Russell Bays. Devil's Orchid is by Devil's Bag, a $30,000 Keeneland purchase. Has been 1st or 2nd in all 5 of her 1991 starts. Trained by Richard Mandela for George Yates. When we come back, Dave Bruner went to New York to preview for us the new Racing Times. Stay with us. Well, for months, everyone in the sport has been eagerly awaiting the arrival of the sport's new daily paper, the Racing Times. The wait is just about over. The Racing Times debuts this Saturday, April 13th. Dave Bruner went to New York for a preview.
For nearly a century, this has been the only newspaper thoroughbred racing has turned to each day. The daily racing form. Never really challenged, it seems, until now. Meet the Racing Times, a new publication built around an all-star staff and enhanced past performances. It's going after the form with a vengeance that can be plainly seen here in its advertising.
Finally, racing has a real daily newspaper, a national paper with substance and improved past performances.
As well as on the paper's front page. Chief Editor Stephen Christ, formerly the racing writer with the New York Times, explains the aggressive strategy.
Well, it's the only way to do it. There's been one product all these years, and it's not a very good product. And we're just trying to get our paper into people's hands. When we come out, we're going to give it away at several tracks the first day, because I'm confident that if people take the paper home and read it, they'll never buy a racing form again.
Now that's a pretty bold statement, but it's one the Daily Racing Form seems to be taking pretty seriously. Over the past few months, the paper has been graphically redesigned, and the editorial content has taken on a sensationalistic tone. But even with those changes, Chris claims the Racing Times is still superior to the Form.
There are really two major areas of difference. One is in editorial and one is in past performances. Editorially, we're going to have real news stories, just like a real newspaper, features and commentary, and I think we've got the best racing writers in the business. Past performance-wise, we're going to have several features that handicappers have wanted for years and are finally going to get. Speed figures and trip notes are two major things we're going to offer. We're going to have real speed figures, and they'll be done by Andy Beyer. I think his figures are the best anywhere. Trip notes, we're going to have long ones, not just outrun or hung or driving, but 8 to 10 words for a horse's last 3 starts telling you exactly what happened to him during the race.
The man behind the Racing Times is British media mogul Robert Maxwell, who recently saved the troubled New York Daily News from extinction. Up to now, Maxwell hasn't been an avid racing fan, but he says he's committed to making the Racing Times a complete success. If going to the track will help the cause, then so be it.
Now that I am publishing the Racing Times, I really feel the only way to find out whether it's doing a good service or not is by going to racetracks, meeting the people, and hearing what they say, whether they are doing it for life, whether they're doing it as a professional business, or whether they're just doing it to have a day off at the races. Yes, you will see me there.
It's a big challenge going up against one of racing's oldest icons, but Maxwell has complete confidence that editor Christ and his staff will succeed.
He is the paper. He had a safe job on the Times and took on this paper. And I think he's done a fabulous job, and he's a great guy.
For someone to come to you and say, invent me a newspaper, which is what Robert Maxwell did, I mean, it's the opportunity of a dozen lifetimes, and I'm really having a lot of fun doing it.
And the paper officially will come to the presses and off the presses and to the racetracks this Saturday, April 13th. When we return, we'll announce the Mark Lanes Inn Trainer of the Month and preview 2 major racing events this weekend. Straight ahead on the Digest. 2 top stakes races to preview for you this weekend. The big one right here on ESPN. This Saturday, an hour delay telecast, 6 to 7 Eastern. It's the 45th running of the Oak Lawn Handicap, 3rd leg in the American Championship Racing Series, and it features the top 3 ranked thoroughbreds in America. They've also been assigned the top 3 weights: Unbridled, Farm Away, Jolie's Halo, with an early morning line from Oak Lawn Park. Those are the big 3, all undefeated. Winners of almost $1.5 million already this year. These are the others that will contest the Oak Lawn Handicap. Let's again take a look at the key starters in this race. And it has to start with Unbridled, the highweight and the favorite, the 3-year-old champion, coming off a stunning 4-year-old debut. He roars past the sprint champion Housebuster here in the deep stretch of the Deputy Minister Handicap at Gulfstream Park. Farm Away now from California. The D. Wayne Lucas trained son of Marfa made the $1 Million Big Cap his 4th straight stakes win.
I don't think that we've reached our peak yet, but in all fairness, I don't think Jolie's Halo or Unbridled have either. Certainly, Jolie's Halo's had a good go of it down in Florida, and I think he's coming up to it very well. It's a dream race in a lot of ways, but Unbridled just had a prep race, too, and he should be coming up to a better race. So I think we're going to probably meet him all on equal ground, and it's going to be hard to make an excuse for any of them, at least going in. Coming out, there'll be a lot of excuses.
Jolie's Halo from Happy Altars, Florida Barn. It's a perfect 6-for-6 career mark, but he has never faced this type of competition.
We're proud of our horse, and we don't have to be afraid of anybody or duck anybody. And if we waited until the next race in the series and let the other horses run here at Oak Lawn, we would have been that much more to a disadvantage because they would have had that race in.
The Oak Lawn Handicap to date, the race of the year. The winner of this, the clear #1 ranked thoroughbred in America. Don't miss it on ESPN, 6 to 7 delayed telecast this Saturday. Coming up at Keeneland, one of the big 3-year-old prep races, it's the Bluegrass Stakes. The top 2, Fly So Free, Strike the Goal, were 1-2 in the Florida Derby. They're the ones to contest this $350,000 added race that's produced 15 Kentucky Derby winners. Lanes Inn Farm has selected our Lanes Inn Trainer of the Month for March. Just happens to be the trainer of Fly So Free, Scotty Schulhofer, getting the honor of 3 stakes victories in the month of March. Our congratulations to Scotty Schulhofer and his racing team, the Lanes Inn Trainer of the Month for March. Tragedy struck the sport this past week. Rodney Dickens, a 19-year-old apprentice rider at Sportsman's Park in Chicago, killed on the track there during a four-horse spill on Sunday. 3 other riders were injured. The accident was the first fatality at a Chicago area thoroughbred track since 1967. Veteran thoroughbred trainer Oscar Barrera died Thursday night for suffering a heart attack at Aqueduct Racetrack in New York. The 63-year-old Barrera, one of New York's leading trainers during the 1980s. He has 3 other brothers who are trainers, including Hall of Famer Laz Barrera. Perhaps the most famous of all race callers, Freddie Capusella, died this past week at the age of 88 after suffering a stroke. Dave Johnson has a special tribute to Cappy, starting with an interview he did with him back in 1986 at Hialeah.
I enjoy it. And I enjoyed going up to the races and seeing the folks I used to work with for all those years. Fellas like you, Dave, and Jan in the press box, and all the boys in the press box that write for the papers. I enjoy saying hello to them and keeping my contacts with them. I really enjoy coming out to the races.
Forget that Cappy was the best race caller, period. Forget those of us who worked with him were his biggest fans. If you have to remember one thing about Fred Capusella, it was his principled devotion to being a kind and caring human being. His passing is a major loss that goes beyond the world of horse racing, and for those of us at the racetrack, post time will never be the same. One more time, give it to us, Cappy.
It is now post time.
Please keep Bill Shoemaker in your thoughts this week, and we'll see you next week here on the Thoroughbred Digest.
Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest, the weekly national report on thoroughbred racing, is brought to you by Budweiser. Nothing beats the excitement of horse racing, and nothing beats a Bud. By the Breeders' Cup, racing's $10 million championship. And by the Illinois Department of Agriculture, promoting Illinois registered horses year-round. Travel consideration furnished by Delta Airlines. Delta is ranked first in passenger satisfaction among all major U.S. airlines for 17 straight years. At Delta, we love to fly, and it shows. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 700 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. This has been an ESPN Sports presentation.